So you caught the itch. Not the kind of itch that you get from a long night at hanging out in South Scottsdale. I'm talking about the real estate itch. The kind of itch that could lead to financial freedom, having you get passive income, possibly become even a millionaire. As we know, most millionaires in America are made through the vehicle of real estate. And that has captured your interest and has brought you to this forum of Bigger Pockets so that you can learn how to be a real estate investor. But where do you start? What kind of investing do you get into? Should you get into buy and hold? Should you get into creative finance? Should you get into fix and flip? Or should you get into wholesale? There's so many things to choose from, and it's really difficult to decide what your first modality should be when you are a beginning real estate entrepreneur. My name is Jamil Damji, and I'm here to tell you why wholesaling should be something that you should consider as your primary real estate strategy when getting started in the business. In this video, we're going to discuss some items that I talk about in my wholesaling book for Bigger Pockets, but what we're really going to dive into is why wholesale is the greatest way for you to get started in real estate. First and foremost, because you don't really need a lot of experience, you don't need a real estate license or any cash or credit to get started, and it is the most risk-averse strategy when you're beginning your journey. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about wholesale real estate, you can pre-order my book in the description below. Now let's get started. The reason why I believe wholesaling real estate is the best way to get started in real estate was because it's how I got started in real estate. In fact, I began my journey in real estate accidentally stumbling into a deal where I was able to make a substantial amount of money, way more money than I would have made buying a house and renting it out and collecting a couple $100s a month. I'm talking life-changing money to the tune of $47,000 after all of my fees and legal were paid. $47,000 can substantially change the trajectory of your life, and it did that for me. And because of that one deal, it changed the lives of thousands of people that I've been able to train on how to wholesale real estate. Now, the beautiful thing about this is when I began, I had no license, I had no money, and I had no training. Yet I was still able to create an opportunity where I was making a substantial amount of money, actually more money than I would have made that entire year in one transaction. It's funny, when I first got around real estate investors, I kept trying to poke my way into a conversation, asking them how I could get involved, what things I could possibly do, and really nobody had any answers for me. People would just say, Jamil, you don't have good credit, you have no money, you have no real estate license, you have no building experience, how the heck are you going to provide any value to us? And they were right, except for one thing. I am great at finding deals. And what does every real estate investor need? Deals. Yes. As a wholesaler, what you can do is find exactly what people are looking for in their business and bring that opportunity to them. This is what makes wholesaling one of the most lucrative and one of the most important roles in the real estate investing lifecycle. I'm going to give you the 4 reasons why wholesaling is the perfect strategy for brand new real estate investors. Number 1, you can start wholesaling today. In fact, most states don't even require you to have a real estate license. Now, that's most states. You'll want to refer to another video that I've made where I go through the legalities and the different credentials needed to wholesale in certain parts of the United States, so make sure you check that out. But for the majority of the United States, you do not need a real estate license to wholesale. What an incredible thing. That means you can get started today. Now, of course, I don't recommend you just start picking up the phone and start locking up houses. Of course, you're going to need to learn some things. You're going to have to understand what is a deal versus what's not a deal. Study the contracts and understand what the legal documents mean and what you'll be signing and the agreements that you're going to be entering into. This is all really important to make sure that you're operating ethically and that you know what your rights and responsibilities are in a transaction. But amazingly, you don't require any license. So if you do the appropriate studying and you learn the techniques that I've just talked about, you can get started right away. Now imagine that. Most people who think they want to get into real estate start at wanting to get a license. That can take anywhere between 6 to sometimes 12 weeks to get licensed depending on what state you're looking at. As a real estate wholesaler, you don't need to do that. You can get in and you can get started as soon as you learn the basics of the business. That's why this is an incredible thing for people to do who are just testing the waters to see if real estate investing or wholesaling is right for them. It doesn't require you to make a huge time commitment or a huge time investment before you can really understand if the meat and potatoes of what this industry or what this business are and if they resonate with your life and lifestyle. The second reason why wholesale is an incredible modality for you to get started in your real estate journey is it doesn't require much money or credit to get started. You don't require hundreds of thousands of dollars to wholesale a house. In fact, when I first got started, I did a deal where I contracted a house for $350,000 and I sold it for $400,000, and I didn't need a single cent to do that deal. Crazy, right? I didn't even need an earnest deposit. In fact, my buyer's earnest deposit actually stood in place of my earnest deposit. So the buyer brought all of the money to the table, meaning I was able to make $47,000 in profits without having to invest a single penny. This is a very powerful return on investment. No money, $47,000? Tell me what kind of investment gives you that type of ROI. Now, of course, you want to make sure that if you do get into a real estate contract and you are required to put some money down for earnest deposit, some real estate agents or some people will want you to put that up right away. And if that's the case, you may need to have a few $100s up to a few $1,000s available in a slush fund so that you can put up earnest money. It will matter because if you don't have earnest money on a deal, your contract isn't binding. So it's really important to know that if you do require to have earnest money, that you have a few dollars available to you for that. But again, this earnest deposit is fully refundable if you cancel your contract within the inspection period. So again, there's so little risk involved. You can get into this business with minimal resources, and the ROIs are exponential to the amount that you would possibly need to do this business. Now, you might be thinking, Jamil, what about marketing expenses and things like that? Again, if you learn some of the strategies that I talk about in my wholesale book, which, by the way, you should pre-order right now because there's going to be some pretty cool things for the pre-orders, a link in the description, you will learn strategies that you can use to become the best wholesaler in your entire market without having to spend any money on marketing. In fact, I've been named the #1 wholesaler in the United States. I operate the nation's largest wholesale operation and have become the subject matter expert for wholesaling for bigger pockets, and I've never spent a dime in marketing. Think of that. My business model, free, absolutely free, and you can do the same thing. The third reason why wholesaling is the most powerful strategy for beginners is because you don't need any experience. Yes, you can be a beginner. Whew, think of that, right? You don't got to think about all these complex formulas. You don't got to worry about interest rates. You don't got to worry so much even about market timing and whether or not you're going to be buying at the right time and if you're going to be upside down in your property a few months later. These can all be really stressful decisions. In fact, most of the new real estate investors that I talk to, they worry about market timing. They worry about whether or not they're getting in too late, whether or not things are going to turn for them, whether or not they're going to get stuck holding the bag. All of these worries, all of these stresses, all of these fears completely evaporate when you get involved in wholesale. And the reason for that is we never take title to properties. In fact, we just find opportunities that have potential in them, and then we sell our rights to another investor. Now, they're going to be taking the financial risk, and they are going to be doing their due diligence to make sure that they're ready to take that risk on. But once you sell that contract, the risk is completely out of your hands. What an incredible way to do business. Just think of that. All upside, no downside. Sign me up. And the fourth reason why you should become a real estate wholesaler, and I've already discussed this, is the fact that there's just so little risk, right? It's important that I stress that again, that the risk is really minimal. When you are fixing and flipping houses, you are buying those homes, you are making substantial renovations to them, and you're holding them for an extended period of time. I just recently did some fix and flips, and when the market turned, I lost quite a bit of money on all of those deals. And the reason for it is when the shore went out, I was caught with my pants down. That's what happens in real estate development. You can mistime the market, things can change, market conditions can fluctuate, and you can get stuck holding the bag. And for a lot of people who just watch an HGTV show and decide to flip a house, this happens to them. That's why fixing and flipping is for the advanced strategist, the person who maybe has a fix and flip mentor or somebody who's been doing this for some time and has a lot of money that they can put up and can afford to take a financial risk. If you're first getting started, fixing and flipping could be a huge problem if things go wrong. Where are you going to find that money and how will you restore yourself? For people who are buy and holders, the folks that are wanting to become landlords, this again is a great strategy, but A, you're not going to make a ton of money because Again, it's just hundreds of dollars that you make in cash flow every month, not thousands of dollars. And the other part is there's still a lot of risk. What if the market turns while you hold the property? What if your tenants destroy the place and now you got to come up with tens of thousands of dollars to renovate? What if you have a tenant who just doesn't leave and now you've got to spend months and months, maybe even years evicting them, only to find that your property has been completely trashed? This has happened to me. This has happened to lots of people. In fact, there's an entire lead list of people who call tired landlords to see if they want to sell their house. Why would there be an entire lead generation source of these people? Because landlording is difficult. It's risky, requires brain energy, it requires money, and it requires a lot of patience, and things can go terribly wrong. In wholesale, you don't experience any of that because you're in and out of the property in a matter of days, and the rewards are in the tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you're probably asking, okay, Jamil, tell us some of these strategies on how we can find these deals without having to spend any money. And I'll tell you exactly where you can find those strategies. It's going to be in my new wholesale book for Bigger Pockets. You can go to biggerpockets.com/wholesale book to pre-order that, and make sure that you do pre-order it because you'll be entitled to the draw for all of the pre-order prizes. It's gonna be lit. Now, maybe you're thinking, Jamil, I don't want to get into wholesaling because I've heard a lot of chatter about wholesaling potentially being predatory, and I'm an ethical and fair person. Well, I can tell you this, all right? Every industry has bad actors, and every industry has best practices. Now, what I can show you and what I can tell you is that there's ethical ways to wholesale. You should be offering homeowners 100% of as-is value. And you can learn how to offer 100% of as-is value by learning how to comp and value homes. And that'll still provide you a lot of potential opportunity for your buyer to go and fully realize an ROI on their investment, and for you to be able to make a substantial amount of money as well. There can be a win-win-win situation for all parties involved if everybody is aware of what's going on, if everybody understands what they're leaving on the table and what they're gaining and why they're gaining it. And all of these things are disclosed and communicated to people of sound mind and sound body and who understand what's happening. To give you an example, if you ever traded in a car, you were pretty aware that the dealer that you were trading your car into was going to resell your car and make a profit. You willingly do that because you don't want to have to deal with the headaches of selling your car. Makes sense, right? People do the same thing with houses. And so it's really important that everybody just be on the same page. If everyone is on the same page, then this business can be done ethically, and everybody can sleep well at night knowing that they've done their job and everybody was treated fairly. So there you have it. Those are 4 reasons why you, as a new real estate investor, should really consider wholesaling to be the first thing that you do when getting started in the business. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you do want to check out my book, go to biggerpockets.com/wholesale book. I'll see you in the next one.